In football, empires don't usually get a second chance. Once you're at the top, there's only one way to go: down. Just ask Brazil, ask Germany, ask Italy. And for nearly a decade, Spain looked like they were joining that list forever. The team that once made the world's greatest players look ordinary suddenly couldn't beat teams they were expected to dominate. Fans called them predictable. Pundits declared tiki-taka dead. Every tournament ended the same way, with thousands of passes, almost no goals, and another painful elimination. By 2022, most people believed Spain's golden era was over. The legends had retired, the magic had disappeared, and the football world had moved on. But while everyone was busy writing Spain's obituary, a completely different story was unfolding behind the scenes. A generation of fearless teenagers was growing up in academies across the country. Coaches were quietly reinventing Spanish football, and the nation that once ruled the sport wasn't trying to relive its past. It was building something even more dangerous. This is the story of how Spain went from a fallen giant to football's newest empire. Act 1. The Fall of a Dynasty. For 6 years, Spain didn't just win football. They controlled it. Between 2008 and 2012, they achieved something no national team had ever done before. They lifted Euro 2008, then the 2010 FIFA World Cup, then Euro 2012. 3 consecutive major international trophies. It wasn't just the silverware that terrified opponents. It was the way Spain won. Teams chased shadows for 90 minutes. Midfielders like Xavi, Andres Iniesta, Xabi Alonso, Sergio Busquets, and Cesc Fabregas passed the ball with surgical precision. At times, it looked less like football, and more like an endless training drill. The style became known around the world as tiki-taka. Every academy wanted to copy it. Barcelona perfected it. Spain mastered it. For a while, it looked unstoppable. But football never stands still. The rest of the world wasn't watching Spain to admire them. They were studying them. Managers began asking a different question. What if we simply let Spain keep the ball? Instead of pressing high, they sat deep. They defended with discipline. They waited for one mistake. Suddenly, Spain's greatest strength became their biggest weakness. Possession without penetration, control without danger. The warning signs appeared quietly, but nobody expected what happened next. At the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, Spain arrived as defending champions. Many believed they were favorites again. Instead, they suffered one of the most shocking collapses in World Cup history. The Netherlands dismantled them 5-1. Robin van Persie's unforgettable diving header became the symbol of Spain's downfall. A few days later, Chile beat them too. The defending world champions were eliminated before the knockout stage even began. The football world couldn't believe it. How could the greatest international team of the modern era collapse so quickly? Most people assumed it was just one bad tournament. It wasn't. Over the next 8 years, Spain kept producing technically gifted players. But every major tournament seemed to follow the same script. Thousands of passes, plenty of possession, very few goals, and eventually, heartbreak. Euro 2016 ended earlier than expected. Then came the 2018 World Cup. Just 2 days before the tournament started, head coach Julen Lopetegui was dismissed after secretly agreeing to manage Real Madrid. Imagine preparing for the biggest competition in football and losing your manager 48 hours before kickoff. Despite the chaos, Spain still reached the round of 16. There, they faced hosts Russia. Spain completed more than 1,000 passes. Russia barely touched the ball. Yet after 120 minutes, the score was still level. Penalties decided everything. Russia advanced. Spain went home. The statistics looked unbelievable. Over 75% possession. More than 1,000 completed passes. No victory. That night, people weren't asking if tiki-taka was struggling. They declared it dead. Act 2. Everyone missed what was happening. After Russia, the criticism became louder. Spain were called boring, predictable, outdated. People said they had forgotten how to attack. Then came Euro 2020. For the first time in years, something felt different. A teenager named Pedri arrived, calm under pressure, brilliant between the lines. He played with the maturity of someone 10 years older. Spain reached the semi-finals before losing on penalties to Italy. Painful, but promising. Then came the 2022 World Cup. This was supposed to be the tournament where the new generation finally announced itself. Instead, history repeated itself. Against Morocco, Spain controlled possession once again. Hundreds of passes. Very few clear chances. After 120 minutes, still no goals. Another penalty shootout. Another elimination. The headlines wrote themselves. Spain passed too much. The golden generation is gone. Tiki-taka is finished forever. But while television debates focused on Spain's failures, almost nobody noticed what was happening beneath the surface. Because Spanish football wasn't standing still. It was evolving. The country's academies had already accepted something many fans hadn't. Football had changed. Winning wasn't about keeping the ball anymore. It was about what you did with it. Young players weren't being taught to recycle possession endlessly. They were encouraged to attack, to take risks, to beat defenders one-on-one, to play forward faster. Spain wasn't abandoning its identity. It was upgrading it. And nowhere was that transformation more obvious than Barcelona's famous academy, La Masia. For years, critics claimed the academy had stopped producing world-class talent. Then suddenly, the conveyor belt started moving again. Gavi arrived with endless intensity. Alejandro Balde brought explosive pace. Fermín López added relentless energy. But one player changed everything. A skinny teenager with braces, Lamine Yamal. Before turning 18, he was already playing without fear against the biggest clubs and the biggest nations on earth. He didn't care about reputations. He attacked defenders as if they were academy players. Every touch created excitement. Every dribble made stadiums rise to their feet. Spain had found something they had been missing for years: unpredictability. And the timing couldn't have been better. Because one tournament was about to change everything. The European Championship. The competition where the entire football world would discover. Spain had returned. And this time, they were even more dangerous than before. Act 3. The tournament that changed everything. By the summer of 2024, expectations around Spain were surprisingly low. England had the biggest stars. France had Kylian Mbappé. Portugal still had Cristiano Ronaldo. Germany were playing at home. Most predictions barely mentioned Spain as serious contenders. And honestly, Spain preferred it that way. There were no headlines calling them favorites. No unbearable pressure. Just a young squad determined to prove everyone wrong. From the very first match, something felt different. Yes, Spain still dominated possession. But now, possession had a purpose. The ball moved forward quicker. The wingers attacked relentlessly. The press started the moment possession was lost. Instead of waiting for the perfect opening, Spain created chaos. Every attack felt dangerous. Then came the breakout stars. On one wing was Nico Williams. Explosive, fearless, impossible to contain in open space. On the other was Lamine Yamal. Still only 16 years old, playing with the confidence of a veteran. It almost didn't make sense. Most players his age were trying to break into their club's first team. Yamal was dismantling Europe's best defenders. With every match, Spain grew stronger. Croatia couldn't stop them. Italy couldn't stop them. Germany couldn't stop them. France couldn't stop them. Then came the final against England, one of Europe's most talented squads, against one of its youngest. Many believed England's individual quality would finally end Spain's run. Instead, Spain played with remarkable composure. Every player understood their role. Every press was coordinated. Every attack had purpose. When the final whistle blew, Spain were champions of Europe once again. But lifting the trophy wasn't the biggest story. The biggest story was how they won. The world realized this wasn't a nostalgic return to the old Spain. This was an entirely new version, more direct, more athletic, more unpredictable. The rest of football suddenly had a new problem. Spain were no longer rebuilding. They were leading the game again. Act 4. Why this Spain is even scarier. Most great international teams disappear when one legendary generation retires. Brazil after Pelé, Germany after Lam, Italy after Buffon. But Spain learned something from their collapse. Never build your future around one generation. Instead, build a system. That's exactly what they did. Look across the squad, and one pattern becomes obvious. The average age is remarkably young. Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Gavi, Nico Williams, Pau Cubarsí, Dean Huijsen, Alex Garcia. These aren't players reaching the end of their careers. They're only getting started. And that's terrifying for everyone else. Because international football usually rewards experience. Spain now have both. Young stars gaining experience together. a style of football that blends technical brilliance with speed and aggression, and a production line that refuses to stop. Every year, another teenager emerges from La Masia or another Spanish academy ready for the biggest stage. It isn't luck. It's decades of investment. While many countries rely on finding one exceptional talent every generation, Spain builds environments where exceptional talent becomes normal. That's the real secret behind their success. Not one player, not one coach. A football culture that constantly reinvents itself. When the rest of the world figured out how to stop tiki-taka, Spain didn't cling to the past. They evolved. That may be the greatest lesson of all. Empires don't survive because they refuse to change. They survive because they change before everyone else does. And that's exactly what Spain has done. Ending. The new empire. For years, football fans asked the same question. Will we ever see another Spain like 2010? The answer turned out to be no. Because this team isn't trying to become the next Xavi, Iniesta, or David Villa. They're creating something entirely their own. A Spain that still values intelligence over chaos, but now attacks with speed, courage, and freedom. A Spain that can dominate possession, or punish you in transition. A Spain built not around one superstar, but around an entire generation growing stronger together. The football empire that collapsed in Brazil back in 2014 didn't disappear. It went back to the drawing board. It accepted its failures. It evolved. And nearly a decade later, it returned stronger than ever. Today, the rest of the football world isn't asking whether Spain are back. They're asking a far more frightening question. How long will this new empire last?